Welcome to the Daily Pulse for August 12, 2026. This covers the articles followed on this date, a curated selection, not a comprehensive record of everything that happened. How many stories fall under any one theme reflects what was followed, not how common it is in the world.
All right, let's jump right into the roadmap for today. We're going to connect some isolated global headlines by looking closely at the mechanisms of power, capital, and technology. First up is shaping the narrative, then tech outpacing oversight, and finally, friction and resistance.
Section 1. Shaping the narrative, information and capital.
Okay, so let's look at the actual mechanics of digital manipulation. Two highly credible research institutions have recently dug into this. First, we've got a forensic report from the Network Contagion Research Institute, or NCRI. They found these highly coordinated, totally inauthentic bot-like networks operating on both the left and the right, and their main mechanism, amplifying viral conspiracy narratives around the 2024 election. Right alongside that, researchers at Carnegie Mellon University have been mapping out something called pink slime journalism. Basically, these are partisan operations masquerading as your friendly local news. And what they found is that these networks are heavily relying on geo-targeted political advertising, specifically in competitive states. So, the big takeaway here? Whether it's through automated bots or fake local news sites, the infrastructure for shaping political reality is organized. It's incredibly well-funded, and it's fully operational across the entire political spectrum.
And these manufactured narratives are being weaponized in real time. Take Polymarket, for example. According to reporting from Popular Information, this prediction market brands itself as this pure, truth-seeking platform. Yet they've been repeatedly promoting false or misleading claims on X just to drive up their betting traffic. It's a pretty glaring contradiction between their brand and their actual behavior. At the exact same time, we're seeing some really fascinating, though concerning, analysis on how AI is being deployed for digital voter suppression. But here's the twist. Instead of trying to change minds, AI-enabled micro-targeting is being used to foster targeted hopelessness. They are literally telling key voters that their participation is entirely pointless. It's a highly calculated effort to suppress turnout by just chipping away at trust in the system itself.
But shaping the narrative isn't just about digital tricks, right? It's also about the sheer physical injection of massive amounts of capital into politics. Over $3 million. Let that sink in. According to Dropsite News, that is the amount poured into just one single Democratic primary in Minnesota. This massive intervention by an AIPAC-aligned super PAC was aimed squarely at unseating candidate Matt Little and curbing progressive momentum. It's a textbook example of exactly how financial leverage is used to shape legislative outcomes way before a general election even kicks off.
And we see this exact same strategy extending right into public relations and political protection. Popular Information gave some really impartial reporting on two major domestic figures recently. First, they noted how corporate PACs and GOP leaders are still backing Representative Max Miller, even amid public domestic abuse allegations. Second, they profiled Jared Kushner, painting a picture of a conflicted and increasingly ineffective Trump envoy across various global crises. And this is exactly where domestic and international strategies start to overlap. Dropsite News actually leaked internal Israeli government polling, which showed that global criticism of the nation's policies is being treated fundamentally as a PR problem. And how do they try to manage it? Through fear-based messaging. So whether you're trying to shield a domestic politician or manage the global reputation of a foreign government, the playbook is the same. Rely on narrative control to manage political reality.
Which brings us to Section 2, Tech Outpacing Oversight, Surveillance and AI.
Because this pattern of operating completely ahead of civic frameworks isn't just limited to political capital. It extends directly and aggressively to how technology is deployed globally. We are witnessing a synchronized global wave of biometric surveillance rolling out long before the laws can even begin to catch up. In Brazil, the outlet Conexo MT reported that a municipality just contracted facial recognition for its schools. No competitive bidding, no legally required privacy impact reports, none of it. Up in Los Angeles, My News LA reports the LAPD's Inspector General is actually urging them to suspend automated license plate readers. Why? Because the vendor contracts completely fail to protect residents' movement data. And over in France, the National Data Protection Authority, CNIL, has handed down formal notices against the Interior Ministry and several municipalities for using this augmented camera software called BriefCam without any adequate legal basis. The technology is just sprinting way ahead of the law.
To really wrap your head around the sheer scale of this trend, just consider this number. 13,000. According to the Turkish outlet Oda TV, the national police in Turkey just opened a tender for 13,000 facial recognition cameras. And get this, they did it without any public legal framework, detailing where or how these cameras are actually going to be used. It's this massive technological procurement happening entirely in the dark, well ahead of any civic oversight.
Now, this tension between rapid tech deployment and its real-world physical consequences is absolutely glaring when we look at artificial intelligence. On one hand, you have the macroeconomic promise. An article recently published in Foreign Affairs suggested AI will give a massive boost to U.S. economic growth, though they did throw in a caveat about needing fiscal discipline. But on the other hand, you have the physical reality, a massive localized resource drain. AI doesn't just magically live in the cloud, right? It requires intense, heavy-duty physical infrastructure to actually run.
And that physical reality? It is aggressively bypassing environmental and civic limits all over the world. Down in Chile, reporting from CIPR Chile shows that AI data center expansion is literally drinking up vital water resources right in the middle of a mega drought. Over in Germany, Netzpolitik reports that AI operators are so desperate for power, they're actually building their own private gas turbines just to bypass the country's strained electrical grids, which, as you can imagine, is sparking some serious local resistance. Meanwhile, on a geopolitical level, the Global Strategic Studies Institute analyzed the U.S. reversal that allowed conditional NVIDIA H200 chip exports to China, only for Beijing to turn around and order a halt to the purchases anyway. The connective tissue here is unavoidable. The physical demands of AI are forcing tech companies to circumvent local limits, creating severe civic friction literally everywhere they build.
And that perfectly sets up our final section: friction and resistance, state power versus civil society. So what exactly happens when communities, institutions, and civil society decide to push back against all this overreach? Well, let's start with institutional friction. ProPublica just published a deep dive investigation into defense contractor General Dynamics, revealing how they failed to build artillery shells for the army. But the broader takeaway here is absolutely crucial. Rust procurement for the war in Ukraine, combined with these incredibly weak contracting safeguards, has created a system that structurally rewards military action and expansion over restraint. The incentives are just entirely misaligned from the ground up.
We're also watching a massive institutional clash gearing up over our upcoming elections. Right now, Vanity Fair is warning that Trump-aligned officials are actively planning severe pressure on election administration. Looking ahead to the 2026 midterms, there is a legitimate, documented threat of executive power being used to destabilize federal elections. But, it's not going unchallenged. Politico reports that Democratic attorneys general are already plotting out preemptive legal countermeasures. So what we're looking at is essentially a high-stakes legal arms race to secure the electoral process itself.
Meanwhile, state power is quietly but forcefully expanding in the realm of immigration. A UC Irvine study, highlighted by Extreme Arturo, actually disputes the narrative connecting crime to unauthorized immigration, pointing instead to a long history of scapegoating. Yet the state apparatus just keeps growing more forceful, regardless of what the data says. For example, The Independent reports that ICE is spending $20 million on gloves specifically designed to deliver painful electric shocks. It's this hidden, subtle escalation of force. Furthermore, we're seeing tools that were originally designed for copyright and immigration screening being repointed directly into transnational repression networks. The infrastructure of enforcement is just quietly expanding its reach.
And when citizens actually step up to push back against this expanding state power, they face some incredibly severe consequences. Truthout shared a really chilling warning from a Minnesota anti-ICE defendant, stating that federal conspiracy charges are now being weaponized to criminalize decentralized, fully legal civic organizing. It's a direct, targeted attack on effective resistance, essentially treating everyday organizers as criminal conspirators.
And this friction against transparency, it is a global phenomenon. Novara Media reports the UK government is straight up withholding files regarding alleged election meddling by an Israeli firm called Blackcore, and they're hiding behind the classic excuse of national security. In another case, Byline Times reports that democracy groups have actually referred Nigel Farage to the Met Police over a massive, completely undisclosed £5 million crypto gift. And sometimes this pushback against transparency becomes violently physical. Novara Media also recorded 108 separate violations against journalists in Palestine by Israel during just the single month of July. Institutions across the board are working incredibly hard to keep their actions completely hidden from public scrutiny.
But hang on, because here is the structural counterweight.
129%. A recent Brazilian study mapped an incredible 129% year-over-year increase in training and fundraising opportunities for civil society organizations. So despite all this top-down pressure, the civic immune system is actually strengthening. It's scaling up its resources, and it is preparing to hold the line.
And we can actually see the long-term impact of this kind of infrastructure in a peer-reviewed study out of the Journal of Peace Research. Looking at Nepal, researchers found that when communities internalize nonviolent resistance tactics, it produces a durable organizing infrastructure. So even after the immediate movement fades away, that organized civil society evolves, it adapts, and it endures. The resistance literally builds a foundation that outlasts the initial conflict.
When technology, capital, and state power consistently outpace legal oversight, will civil society's friction be enough to hold the line? The source articles are linked in the video description.